You might have physically moved on, but your mind could still be operating inside the exact script that season taught you to tell. We all carry an internal explanation for how we became who we are. It serves as the invisible framework behind your coping mechanisms, even your deepest fears, and your daily habits. Because this framework runs constantly in the background, it actively dictates your present-day confidence. It decides the boundaries you set in relationships, the financial risks you tolerate, and your capacity to accept positive outcomes without bracing for the other shoe to drop. Take a look at this timeline diagram. Notice how it moves forward and suddenly splits. The solid line represents the raw facts of a painful event, say a failed project or a rejection. But the thick, colored line branching off represents the subjective meaning you assign to that event, like the belief that you are inherently not enough. Detaching the factual history of what happened from the unhelpful interpretation you carried away from it stops the memory from acting as a cage for your current self. The physical events are locked in the past. They cannot be changed. But the subjective meaning you attach to them forms your identity right now, and identity is highly editable. Narrative identity theory suggests that your sense of self is a living personal myth, an evolving story the brain constructs to organize your experiences into something coherent. This diagram shows a cross-section of the brain's neural pathways. When you actively reinterpret the meaning of a past event, a process called cognitive reappraisal, you alter your brain's predictive models. The emotional response actually changes, shifting the nervous system from stress to calm. The most effective mechanism to force the brain to process these experiences differently is putting them into structured language through expressive writing or intentional journaling. At institutions like the University of Texas at Austin, researchers studying expressive writing have documented that when people translate traumatic or ambiguous events into a structured narrative, their physical health markers improve and their nervous systems regulate. When you provide the brain with a new structure to process past events, the nervous system can move from a state of reactive stress to one of regulated health. Spiritual traditions and manifestation teachings approach this exact same mechanism through the law of correspondence, focusing on energetic frequency rather than neural pathways. From this perspective, the internal narrative you repeat to yourself acts as a continuous energetic signal. You broadcast that signal to the external world, and the world responds in kind. If your internal script is, "I always struggle," you emit an erratic signal and organize your daily reality around surviving it. But shift that inner script to, "I am available for ease," and the external reality begins to match that calm, open flow. Neuroscience observes the brain's wiring. Spiritual laws observe the resulting external reality. Both arrive at the same conclusion. Your outer life mirrors the inner script you keep rehearsing. You can usually tell when an old story is running the show. You might automatically expect disappointment before a new project even begins, or you might find yourself confusing persistent struggle with actual worthiness. To start breaking this pattern, try a quick exercise called the title shift. Imagine your life up to this point is a movie, and give it a title. Be honest. Usually, the old story yields something cynical, like Always Starting Over or The Hard Way. Now, assign a sequel title. Choose a phrase that reflects the person you are becoming right now. Maybe it evolves into Trusting My Timing or The Season of Receiving. Naming the sequel shifts the lens. It introduces new criteria for how your brain evaluates future events, moving the focus from what you survived to what you are now building. Even with a new title, old self-doubt will occasionally pop up. When it does, you can run a daily diagnostic practice called Manifestation Debug Mode to clear the static. Step 1 is to catch the glitch. Isolate the specific internal phrase you just said to yourself. Pinpoint the exact words, like, "I am so far behind." Step 2 is to question the authorship. Ask yourself if that voice actually belongs to you, or if it is an inherited script from an anxious parent, a demanding culture, or an older, fearful version of yourself. Step 3 is to edit and embody. Mentally replace that old phrase with a present truth. Swap "I am behind" for "My path has its own timing." Pause and notice the physical softening in your shoulders or stomach as that new line lands. You cannot erase the physical events of your past. History is written, but the story those events tell about your identity, your worth, and your future is entirely up to you. Take ownership of the script, and you change every scene that follows. Tell us the title of your next chapter in the comments below, and start your rewrite.